Hey guys, welcome back to the channel here. So you can see behind me we have cabs standing up now, and I wanted to show you what we have to do to this. So we pulled it off, and we're going to be doing some work to this cab, and I want to show you something that's very specific to a crew cab. This probably won't be a real long video this time. We'll see how it goes. However, the crew cabs have a different cab mount versus any other of the cab configurations in an OBS. Now, it's the same cab mount across the board, but it has different reinforcement. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this different reinforcement and show you what you need to do to get that back off. So you want to be able to save these cab mounts because Ford put them there for a reason. Now, why they're there, I'm assuming it's reinforcement. So, the cab is much longer, it's much heavier, and it still only uses 4 mounting points, just like all of the other cab configurations in an OBS. Whereas like a newer style Super Duty uses 6 mounting bolts on the cab instead of 4. So it has that extra support in the middle of the cab, whereas these don't, so that puts a lot more strain on 4 points instead of 6. So they reinforce the front cab mounts on these trucks, and when you're redoing a crew cab, this is something that isn't reproduced. So you have to be able to make sure that you save it. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to show you what the cab reinforcement looks like, and we'll go ahead and get this off of this cab. So we're going to take it off of there so we can reuse it. We're going to try to fix it up as best we can because it is compromised a little bit due to the corrosive nature we live in here. So I'm going to show that to you and show you how I get these off of here. That way, if you're doing a crew cab, this is something you should probably look into because you're either going to have one made or you're going to have to take yours off and reuse it. So the cab mount we're talking about is in the upper corner here. All right. So I'll climb up here so you can see what we're doing. As you can see, we have a hole here, okay? Now, yeah, you're supposed to have a hole there, but it's only supposed to be that big. All right, so the crew cabs come with this extra plate, and you can see it's a little bit different, has a piece of reinforcement here, and an extra piece here, and then here's your new cab mount down here. So we'll bring it up here and show it to you. So you can see that the crew cab mount is definitely different. All right, so this new piece is underneath this piece of reinforcement. So we need to get this piece of reinforcement off of here so that we can reuse it. Now, you have a spot weld here. There's a couple down through here. You can see that I've gotten the drill bit onto them here, and then these couple up here. Now, Chicago Electric, so that'd be Harbor Freight, makes a spot weld driller. It's kind of nice. It's a little nifty little tool. So you basically center punch your spot weld there, and you take this, and as you can see, it will depress in. So that keeps you centered when you're drilling out your spot welds. And it lets you drill the spot weld out. So let's see if we can get a good zoom on this. You can see how it drills out the spot weld. Then all you have to do is just pop this panel off. So we need to pull this panel off so that we can change this cab mount underneath. And then you have more spot welds up here that we're going to be drilling out. And then once we get this piece off, we'll have to drill out some more to get it off the floor. So you can see that we have the hole in the floor there. So we'll be changing that out. I'm not going to go through the whole process of changing out this cab mount with you because there's numerous videos on how to do welding and patch panels and reinforcement plates and stuff like that. However, there's nothing that covers the crew cab specifics. So we're going to touch on taking this off of here, getting this peeled off. Like I showed you, you can see I already have the spot welds drilled out. I'm going to pop this piece off, and then once we get the new piece on here, I'll go ahead and show you the new piece, and then we'll have this new piece or this old piece all cleaned up, and hopefully we'll try to get this all repaired here. We'll probably put some new plate on here and weld this back on, you know, just with a MIG here to plug weld. So we'll go ahead and get this plate off of here, and then we'll get the old cab mount off, and we'll make this all clean, try to get this all nice and cleaned up. We're going to be replacing a piece of floor pan too, so we'll be doing all that. We're not going to cover that in this video. I'm just mainly showing you this reinforcement plate and how you should be saving this if you have a crew cab. And if you have a crew cab, then this is too far gone, which is extremely possible, which is another reason I don't own a crew cab, because they don't make stuff like this. They don't make this reinforcement plate. So we'll get this pulled off of here, get it cleaned up. We'll get all the new panels put back in, the new cab mount put in, and then we'll get this welded back on here and show you what this should look like when it's all done. That way it'll be nice and clean, because it's hard to tell what it looks like now with the different colors of paint and seam sealer and everything else on here. So we'll get this replaced and get back to it here. Okay, so I started to pop this off of here. You can see I've gotten it loosened up here, and you can see I found some more spot welds. I was wondering why it wasn't coming off. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more spot welds in here that I can see. So when you're doing your cab mount with your crew cab, wire wheel it as best you can, because there could be some spot welds hiding somewhere. So as you can see, it's popped off here nice. You know, the spot weld cutter works really well for this. Popped off nice here. Gives you a nice place to plug weld when you go to put this back on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drill these out as well. And hopefully that'll be all that's holding this on. I'm sure there's some more spot welds hiding, but as you pull them off, you'll find more spot welds. You know, just if it doesn't want to come off, then you either didn't drill deep enough or there's more spot welds holding it on. So you can see now, we didn't show any of the installation, welding, or nothing that went along with this, because a lot of this is covered on other videos on YouTube. So I wanted to show you the finished product and what we came up with here. As you can see, we have a new mount up here. We ended up repairing the old reinforcement plate that you could see earlier in the video was rotted out very badly right here. So we put a new cab mount in, we put a new section of floor in. I'll show you the section of floor that we put in a little bit closer here. But we got this all put in. We ended up sandblasting down the side here, and then along these seams and along these channels. So if you have a crew cab, we talked earlier that you can't buy this reinforcement plate. Well, they also don't make these brackets here and these pieces of steel that are formed into the floor here. So if you have a crew cab and it's starting to rust, you think, oh, well, I'll just get it fixed later. It's going to cost you 2 or 3 times as much money to fix a crew cab as it is a regular cab or a super cab, because they don't make these panels here. So your regular cab truck would be about halfway, right here in the doorway. Okay, I don't know if you can see where my hand is. And then obviously from this seam forward would be the regular cab. All right, so everything between these two seams on this floor is crew cab specific. Now, they don't reproduce any of this. So if you have a crew cab and it's rotting out in the middle of the cab, okay, they don't make that. If the B-pillars are rotting out, they make the front half because you can make a regular cab side work, but they don't make the back half. All right, so you have a crew cab. They don't make these reinforcement plates that go over the cab mounts. They don't make that. So you have a lot of stuff on a crew cab that is not reproduced. So if you have a truck that's rotting out, and they say, oh, needs body work, just buy some replacement panels. Well, you can't just buy replacement panels. So I'm going to show you what we did up here and then show you what we did here specifically. We did the same thing on the other side here, except we didn't have to rebuild the top here. It was still good. It was starting to get bad, but we were able to save it before it got bad. So let me show you these things up close. I'll show you what we did here, and hopefully this can help you guys out if you have a crew cab and you're trying to fix it up. So here's your up close. You can see we haven't painted anything up here yet. Actually, this is actually painted already. We primed it and I repainted it. Because the black E-coat isn't meant to be out in the weather. So you can see we got a couple spot welds up here. I haven't cleaned this up yet. I need to clean it up, but I wanted to clean the other side yet before we painted it, because I'm not grinding on the inside of the cab because all the sparks can go somewhere that I don't want them to go. So we're not grinding the inside of the cab yet because I want to make sure I can do that on the floor. But you can see we re-spot welded the whole top here. We spot welded here, and we spot welded here. All right, so as you can see, there is a layer, and then you have your floor inside. And you do see some gapping here. However, whenever you bolt this down, that'll close all these little gaps up. But you can see how many actual layers there are here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have your reinforcement, you have your cab mount. This plate that you see here is part of this. And then you have your actual extra reinforcement here. So you can see that there's lots of plates here, whereas your regular cab or super cab doesn't have this extra one on top, but it has all these extra pieces. So this first reinforcement on the closest to the floor doesn't come on the new cab mount. So you have to cut yours off the old cab mount, weld it to this cab mount. All right, so there's lots of things that you need to get and pull and reuse. So when you get a truck that says it's all rotted out, you could you could end up running into other issues, things that aren't available, things that aren't reproduced, and you have to reproduce these things. So like on this truck, we had to replace this piece right here. All right, they don't make this piece, so I had to make this whole piece of steel here, and it runs all the way down behind all this, and that's the end of it right here. Okay, so this whole piece here needed to be replaced, so I had to make that. All right, and then we had to put a patch in here. Okay, so I had to patch this and make this good again. All right, so go back until I found good clean metal and use it. And as you can see, there's a little pinhole here and a pinhole here, but the rest of this is pretty structural. It's pretty good. I didn't want to go into welding any of that and making a bigger problem by blowing a hole in this by welding. This is still pretty structural. It's pretty solid, so I didn't want to hinder it any by making a weld and making a weak point. So left that alone. However, you got to spot weld all this back on and make all these pieces and parts. And as you can see here, this is the floor pan here. You can see the seam sealer goes down around. So when I was done with all this, I seam sealed everything. The only thing I didn't seam seal was in through here, because I want to make sure if any water does get in there, it will get out, because it can get in here. You can't seam seal the other side. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll show you the inside here. You can see how much of this floor we actually did replace. And I had to go that far to get some good clean metal, and it does go down into the pinch weld here. Now I still need to seam seal all this and grind it all, but that was stuff that needed to be done here. And it does take time. There's a lot of work involved in this. You want to make sure that your fitment is good and that you're not warping the crap out of all of your steel. So wanted to show this video to you guys, produce some of this stuff to show you what all is involved when you own a crew cab and you need to do replacement panels. And like I said, they don't make any of this stuff down here. So we went ahead and sandblasted all these brackets in and around them, got them nice and clean, and then threw some good primer on them. This isn't just your Rust-Oleum primer. This is a good high quality primer. It won't just kind of wash off with brake clean or normal abrasion. So he's going to have this cab painted eventually, and whenever he does, they'll go ahead and they will clean up the bottom of this and give it a good coat of paint. So I'm not going to put on some cheap paint for him. The only place we put paint was where they won't be able to get paint to. So that'd be like on the other side of this panel, on the bottom side of this floor, on the other side of this reinforcement bracket, places that you can't get paint later. So as you build this back together, make sure that you clean your part, prime it, paint it, put it together. If you're going to be doing some welding, you can use spot weld through primer in all these places, if you don't have a spot welder. So make sure that you guys do this the right way. Take the time and try to do it the best as you can, because once it's done, and hopefully you don't have to do it again. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.